Am I the a-hole for not telling my ex-wife that my fiancé is pregnant? My ex-wife Carly, 39 female and I, 40 male, got divorced 10 years ago. We had been married for 4 years, together for a total of 9 years. About 2 years into our marriage, we started trying to have a baby, but no luck. We went to fertility doctors after the first year of trying, and the doctor said there isn't anything wrong with either of us. We continued trying, but still no luck. Around the 1.5-year mark of trying, a coworker of Carly's got in contact with me to tell me he had been sleeping with her and didn't know she was married. I confronted her about it and she didn't deny it. She said the pressure of trying to conceive was making her depressed and a coworker was a welcome distraction. She said the affair was about 5 months. I thought about staying with her and giving it another chance, but I really couldn't even stand looking at her. Being near her made me sick, and I didn't want to be with someone who turns to someone else when they're having a hard time. So we got a divorce. I took a job in another city and moved, then met my now fiancé Mary 3 years ago. I proposed to her a year ago, and we found out we're expecting 5 months ago. I don't use social media much, but Mary does quite a bit. She posted photos of her bump and a sonogram on her Instagram and Facebook. Carly either heard from someone in my hometown or saw Mary's posts, but she called me. She called with a number I didn't have saved, so I didn't know it was her and picked up. She started off nice and was just asking how I was. She then asked why I didn't just call her and tell her myself so she wouldn't have to find out from someone else. I asked her why it's any of her business, and it started a bit of an argument. She hung up after a while. Our mutual friend said I should have told her because it was very hard on her that we weren't able to conceive when we tried, and it can't be easy for her watching me have a baby with someone else. But if I'm being honest, I don't see why I had to reach out to tell her that. We got divorced a year ago. We don't live in the same city, so it's not like she'll have to bump into Mary and I. We're not friends. Our marriage ended very badly. Am I missing something here? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. So let me get this straight. She's your ex-wife. She cheated on you. You divorced. You don't want to talk to her anymore and you had no news from her. And you're supposed to tell her that your fiancé is pregnant? Either I missed that part or as I think it's none of her business at all. Not the a-hole. And tell her to pound sand and to stop stalking your fiancé in social medias. It's creepy as heck. To me, him contacting her after so many years just to tell her his partner is pregnant would have been petty. Like she's living rent-free in his head after all this time. Dude, move on and up. Yes, that too. He would have been an a-hole. Lol. I mean, if one day I'm pregnant, and it will never happen, thank God, I won't call my ex-boyfriend to tell him, hey, guess what? This is so weird. It's time the ex-wife moves on, instead of stalking her ex-husband and his new fiancé in social medias. Lol. What she's doing isn't very healthy. My ex-husband was pissed when he found out I was pregnant. We tried for 10 years and I was never able to conceive. This was a big deal because I was in a cult, and women are supposed to have lots of babies. After we split up, he immediately went from one relationship to another, whereas I was so happy to be single/free. I wasn't going to do anything to mess that up. A few years later, he found a one and got engaged, and around the same time, I started dating this lovely atheist man. The universe has a sense of humor, and I ended up getting accidentally pregnant after we'd been dating about 5 months. We ended up having a quickie wedding because of healthcare reasons. And so, my ex-husband ended up being very mad because I won by getting married/having a child before he did. This just made me laugh, because in my mind I wanted the day the divorce was final. Now that you mention it, I'm pretty upset you didn't tell me about the baby too. I'm just supposed to find out on a Reddit post? Well, damn, my apologies, friend. You'll be the first to know next time. Not a-hole, OP. Congrats on the baby. Focus on wife and baby, and forget the BS. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son I want no contact? Me, 45 male, and my ex-wife got together in our teenage years. Got married at 21 and had our son at 22. After our son was born, we slowly started to drift away. So when our son was about 11 or 12, I decided to pull the plug on my marriage. I don't know why, but my wife was very shocked. By that time, we already had dead bedroom for about 4 years and haven't had any deep discussion for about the same time. I was just done. It took about a week for me to move out, and all this time, my ex cried all the time, begging me to stay, but I stood my ground. My son was very angry at me and wouldn't talk to me at all. I understood why. In his eyes, I was hurting his mother. When I finally moved out, he didn't want to see me at all. I tried really hard, came regularly to see him, but he always told me he hates me and ran to his room. I was devastated. The divorce was finalized in about a year, and custody was in place for 50-50. We got my son in therapy, but it just didn't help. He hated my guts to the core. That's why I never wanted to force him to go to my place. I could, but didn't want him to resent me even more. I still wanted to be there for him, went to his games, sent him birthday and Christmas gifts, but he shut me out completely. Last thing he told me is that he doesn't want me in his events anymore. I went to my ex's house a couple of times, but she always told me that he doesn't want to see me and that she wouldn't make him. At this point, I was cut off completely. I found myself in a long, dark road of depression and pain. It was like my son died, the lowest point of my life. But one day I woke up and was just done. I rebounded and have since moved on, met my wife, and we have 2 beautiful kids. Life was great again, until about a year ago when I got email from my son. He apologized for everything, that he recently got a child and started reflecting and realized how horrible he was to me. He wanted to reconnect and be in my life again. There was much more in email, but I don't want to share for privacy reasons. I didn't feel anything when I read his mail. I didn't respond. Since then, he sent about 15 emails detailing what is happening in his life and his kid. I never responded, but I figured I at least owe him some kind of closure. I didn't send it yet, but it goes, "Dear son, I would appreciate it if you stopped sending me emails. I went through hell and back to be at this point in my life. I have a family again, and I'm very happy right now. I understand you have regrets and some guilt about the past, but I hold no resentment towards you and I forgive you. But bringing you back into my life would introduce complications I am not willing to face for my own good and that of my family. I simply cannot give you what you seek. I want no further contact. I hope you understand and wish you all the best in life. Goodbye, OP." I didn't send it yet and finally told my wife what is happening. She read all the emails in my draft and was horrified. She begged me to not send it and open my heart for him. We argued and a demand for a therapist came up. She even told my parents and my mom went nuclear. She started berating me like I was a little kid again. I don't know why she doesn't understand. She was with me all this time and saw what I went through. In the end, she told me if I did this to him, she will do the same to me. I was speechless. I don't even know what I seek here. I went through similar stories here and a lot of the comments were not nice to people in my position. I don't know. Maybe I am a prick and need to hear it. Life is very short and he was a hurt child. Please learn to forgive. Learn to give perfectly reasonable second chances. Yeah, OP. It's not like your son betrayed you or anything. He was hurt and acted the way most young teens only know how, in anger. I'm not one of those be the bigger person dude, and I despise that phrase. But this is not one of those scenarios. Believe or not, you're both hurt people, and right now the ball is in your court to actually mend this broken relationship for good. Yes, and actually forgive. Not write it in an email and then act in a way that shows nothing but lingering resentment. That email is screaming that although your son may have grown and changed perspective, that you wish to resent him for the rest of your life, instead of possibly growing past it yourself. Therapy seems like a very reasonable demand for you. I hope you do, and find your way to healing. You're holding your child accountable for how he reacted, in his childhood, to a very adult situation. Please reframe your thinking, OP. You're hurting yourself just as much as everyone else in this situation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for pretending I don't have money so my family won't bother me? My wife, 52 female, and I, 51 male, recently partly retired with $4 million in savings, $1 million of which is our home. I'm systems engineer and my wife was an RN. I still work part-time/contract but less than 20 hours a week, and my wife is fully retired. We are very frugal people and try to save where we can. I've also made it clear to my wife to never tell my family we have money and to pretend that we are dead broke. Her family knows we do well, but they never ask for money. My family won't stop asking for money. My mom, dad, and brother are terrible with money. My dad and brother both work oil and gas, which results in a few fat years of tons of money coming in, followed up with layoffs. Not saying the layoffs are their fault, but they have never saved anything, so they run up credit cards to pay for everything. My parents have borrowed against their house so many times they effectively haven't paid anything towards the principal, and they have had that house for 35 years. They should be retired but can't. But my dad recently had to go back to work as a school bus driver because they have so much debt and no money. My brother inherited their spending issues and has his own alcohol struggles and is currently going through a second divorce. I didn't tell my son not to tell his grandparents that we recently retired. And they found out from him recently and they have been calling me livid because we pretended we were broke for years. But clearly if we can retire, we have savings. I didn't tell them because I know the results or they would just ask us for money constantly. They have on several occasions. When we went on vacation and they found out via Facebook, we have since learned not to post, and came knocking for money. We lied and told them we won some money but had spent it all on the vacation. Am I obligated to help them? I don't feel so, because both my parents and brother made lots over their career. But my dad is in his 70s and still working. I'm sure they're contacting me to ask for money, but am I the a-hole if I continue to pretend I have none? Not sure how I'm going to do that now that they know we are semi-retired. Now for the comments. You don't have any money. You have enough to cover your retirement and that is it. You don't know what kind of medical expenses you're going to run into in your old age. And there is no more money coming in. Not the a-hole. Practice saying, we've retired and are on a fixed income. They don't need to know what it's fixed at, and it's none of their business. Add in that any retirement fund you may have is in the hands of a financial manager and locked into investments. Long-term investments that you couldn't touch if you wanted to, on purpose. Not the a-hole. Look, I'm all for helping family. I've helped my sisters in the past because 1, their financial conditions were no fault of their own. 2, they never asked, I offered. And 3, they made it up how they could. 1 paid me back, and the other helped me with something she's skilled at. Your parents have spent away their money, and so has your brother. The money you would give them would do nothing to actually improve their situation, because they would spend it away again. You don't owe them anything. Their poor decision-making does not mean you should not get to have this really wonderful early retirement with your wife, which you earned. Gotta second this. Anything you gave them would not only not help, but also enable them to continue their poor spending habits. It's not your fault they were not responsible with what they earned. First off, congratulations and massive kudos to you on being able to retire so early. You are living my dream. Secondly, not the a-hole. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than greedy relatives asking to borrow money. They did this to themselves. You shouldn't be responsible for their stupid decisions. Last story. Am I the a-hole for taking my engagement ring to get assessed professionally? My boyfriend, 33 male, and I, 29 female, have been together for 3 years. He is a very frugal person, which was fine initially, but now it's just killing our relationship. I'm quite frugal myself. I own my own apartment. My car is a Honda Fit that was paid for in cash. I have no debt, and I have over $240,000 in retirement assets and savings. But it takes it to another level. If we eat out, every meal must be split between us according to who ate what. And he will correct the waitress until I decide to pay more so the waitress doesn't suffer having to redo the bill. He paid for the first few dates, but then never ever took me out again. Not even on my birthday. Never any presents, other than a card and maybe a slice of cake. I bought him a nice watch for his birthday, but then never got him anything at all because I was really disappointed by his gift to me. He is not poor. He makes $70,000 a year in a medium cost of living area. He owns 3 pairs of shoes, a sandal, a sneaker, and a winter boot and nothing else, even though it rains enough that rain boots are necessary. It used to be very nice he was non-capitalistic, but now it's just annoying. When we went to vacation, after some begging on my part because he doesn't want to pay for any travel, we had to leave at 3 a.m. and have a 5-hour layover because the direct flight that lets us get a decent night's rest is $200 more. Maybe it's a difference of opinion, but to me, being dog-tired and sitting in the airport for 5 hours isn't worth the $200 saved, and he refused to pay it, and it wouldn't be feasible to travel separately, so I dealt with it. Everything is about saving money, and he refuses to go skiing or to escape rooms with me because it costs money. Anyway, he got me the engagement ring and I said yes. Initially, I didn't have reservations because of what I mentioned above, but put that out of my head. He didn't give me anything associated with the ring, and when a friend saw it, he swore up and down it wasn't a diamond. I also am very dubious that my boyfriend would ever pay for a diamond, so I went to a jeweler, got it assessed. Turns out to be a white sapphire. They told me the ring should be worth $500 to $800, which is not a problem on its own, but the fact he wouldn't even spend much money on an engagement ring just makes me question how I'm expected to live with him in the future. He rents, but lives in a terrible place to save money. Will I be expected to live like that? I brought it up with him later, and he got furious and accused me of being a gold digger for checking the ring. I kept telling him it's just one of the many problems I have tried to talk about with him regarding his spending, and he just accused me of trying to cover up that I wanted an expensive ring. I'm being made to feel like a villain for not being happy about the ring, and how much I'm expected to sacrifice because of his frugality. Am I the a-hole? Why are you marrying this guy? He is who he is. He's not going to change. You've been through 3 years of this. Is this how you want to live the rest of your life? Can you imagine having kids with this man and watch him nickel and dime their entire childhoods? Run! It's because of the pandemic. We couldn't do anything for nearly 2 years. So when he didn't want to go out to eat, I just assumed it was pandemic worries. Now I know it's just him. Okay, I totally get that, but now you know. And the thing is, he's not even open to beginning to work on this, right? He's turning things around on you and getting nasty because you caught him cheaping out. Again. As a divorced woman, please let me tell you that there are worse things than being single. Namely, being in a bad marriage with someone who doesn't care about your wants and needs. Read your first 2 paragraphs to yourself and pretend they're about a friend of yours. Does it matter if you're an a-hole? Because that is not the main issue at hand. If OP wants kids, I doubt her current, hopefully future ex, does. Kids are expensive. OP, do you really want to spend your life living as cheap as possible, getting no fulfillment out of life? I get there is loads of free fun stuff to do, but is it worth giving up a chance to see the world if you wanted to, because your future husband would trash those dreams? OP not a-hole, but please evaluate and truly ask yourself if this is what you want. Am I the a-hole for leaving before my sister's wedding ceremony started and leaving someone else in charge of my responsibility? My female sister got married on Friday. She and I are twins, so we are very close and best friends. She is child-free while I have 2 kids, 3 male and 1 male. Obviously, she loves her nephews. She never mistreated them, but she is not a person who would accept being a babysitter for a day. She has never offered to help with anything, though it's her choice and I respect it. Not surprisingly, her marriage was child-free even for the family. She asked me to be her maid of honor, and I accepted. I was responsible for a few things at a ceremony and party. Nothing complex, but I asked another bridesmaid for help, so she was also on top of everything. My children stayed with my in-laws while my husband and I went to the wedding. About 10 minutes before everything started, I was there for 2 hours. My in-laws called saying that my youngest hit his head while playing with my oldest, and that they were taking him to the hospital. I despaired. Even though they said he was conscious, my heart was not at peace, nor my husband's, so we decided to go to the hospital. I talked to the bridesmaid and explained everything I had to do. She accepted, and when it was time to talk to my sister, she had a meltdown saying that I couldn't go at the most important moment in her life and asked if I was choosing him instead of her. I got really irritated and said, "Yes, I choose my son in the hospital." I left with her cursing me. My son is fine, but he got 2 stitches, without any internal trauma after they did exams. But we only left the hospital the other day because they preferred to put him under observation because he's very young. I preferred to stay away from my cell phone just like my husband. And when I got home, got several calls from different people, and I answered when I saw my sisters. She asked before how my son was, and when she learned that it was a minor injury, she started screaming, saying that I abandoned her at the most important moment in her life, that she was without a family in her own marriage, no parents and grandparents, that I left my responsibilities to a person who did everything wrong and caused an embarrassment. And to make matters worse, I didn't even want to show up since my husband could stay in the hospital while I would at least share this moment with her. She called me several names, until my husband took the cell phone out of my hand and told her to get lost. I really could have at least gone to the party, but I wasn't going to make it knowing my baby's in the hospital. I can't help but feel bad for my sister. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. This is one of those inevitable hurt feelings that aren't really anyone's fault situations. You had no choice but to go to your son's side, as a head trauma can be really scary, especially when it's a child. Your sister is entitled to her hurt feelings about not having family on her wedding day, but she's overreacting and taking it out on you when you couldn't help it. Not stay whole, and you're right. Your son's health and wellness are more important than your sister's feelings. Hard disagree. This is 100% the bridezilla's fault. I can't fathom how anyone with the slightest bit of compassion would fault a parent for wanting to see that their child is safe after a potentially serious accident. Not the a-hole. She started screaming, saying that I abandoned her. She'd rather have you leave your child abandoned to stay with this grown woman? She's the a-hole. To quote my boss literally 3 hours ago, if your family had a problem and you weren't distracted by it, I'd think less of you. This was part of him saying that he'd rather we just tell him if we have a problem than try to internalize it or go to someone else in the team, because if he doesn't know, he can't give us any support. This. Also, I guess I'm the only person who doesn't see stitches and a concussion as a minor injury. I mean, it could have been life-threatening. Not the a-hole. Your sister needs to chill. Yes, it ended up being a minor injury, but it could have been worse. Always better to be safe than sorry. She sounds a bit like a bridezilla. Her first concern, earlier in the post when you left the wedding, was that you'd abandoned her and not whether your child was okay. I get that her day is important, but she's showing you where her priorities lie. Minor injuries do not require stitches. Nor do they require being kept at a hospital for observation. Minor in the sister's eyes. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying I won't cuddle my infertile sister anymore? My sister Julie has tried to have a baby for 5 years. She had a miscarriage 2 years ago, and outside that, has been unable to get pregnant. My heart hurts for her. However, one thing I don't agree with is how my family has handled it. We're not allowed to talk about babies around Julie. Any kids younger than 3 can't come to family events that she'll attend. She won't attend baby showers, baptisms, etc. The last one I understand, but the rest feels overkill. I got pregnant last year. I told Julie first, and she reiterated her boundaries. I said I understood. The first hurdle came with my baby shower. My mother-in-law was throwing it, and I didn't expect Julie to come. Then my mom told me I shouldn't have one, period, out of respect. I said that was ridiculous. She didn't have to come, so what did it matter? Only 3 people from my side of the family came to the shower. When my son was born, I posted a birth announcement on Facebook, and my parents lectured me for this and said it was going to hurt Julie. I said she could just block or mute me. They said I should make the effort. Julie echoed that if I cared, I'd stop. I ended up blocking her just to save drama. My aunt's 70th birthday party's next week. My husband and I plan to go, bringing our son. Julie called and asked if we were going. She then asked for me to get a sitter for our son. I said no. She doesn't want to miss the party, but my aunt is one of the few people who agree that Julie's boundaries aren't fair and wants my son there as she doesn't get to see him often. Julie got upset and started crying, saying that I was unfair. I finally snapped and asked what would happen when she got pregnant. Would we all be expected to shower her with the love and attention she's refused to give other people's kids? Will her baby be allowed to attend events? She said that was different. I said no, I'm not cuddling her anymore. My son exists, his family, and he's coming. She can decide if she wants to or not. My parents yelled at me for being mean to Julie. They offered to pay for a sitter, but I said no. It's not even her house. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister is taking this way too far. Your point about her possible child is totally valid. I doubt she's doing this with friends and coworkers. She does it with friends, but she doesn't have many to begin with. They also don't have kids, so it's easier. Unsure about work. Gee, wonder why she doesn't have many friends. Yep, I have a toddler and one on the way. And if I made her acquaintance and she said she couldn't deal with kids, I wouldn't bother to know her any further. I won't pretend my kids don't exist until they are older just to not trigger her. I say all this as someone who had a full-term stillbirth from a cord knot after years of trying to have a child. I couldn't deal with seeing babies and young children for a while. I let my Facebook friends know that I was staying friends with them, but for my friends who had young kids or babies, I was temporarily unfollowing until I was in a healthier place mentally. I shopped early in the day at the grocery when many parents didn't take their kids out, and my husband and I stayed home a lot. I dealt with our infertility and got therapy after our loss. It was hard seeing new babies for a while, but gradually seeing a little one would make me smile a little rather than want to cry. And when my rainbow baby was born, I felt like I could smile again without feeling guilt for being happy. The sister desperately needs some counseling and mental health help. I sympathize with her. I really do. Babies made me sad for a long time, but you can't punish others for something like having children. Not today, Hall. Good Lord. Wow. She's trying to cut off all family event-related contact for your side of the family? She needs therapy badly. That's just so unfair to you and your child and the other relatives who do want to see the baby. Tell your parents that if they want to see their grandson, they need to start treating him like a human being and part of the family, not a weapon pointed at your sister. Not today, Hall. You made some very good points to your sister, and I'm not surprised with what she said. Sunshine and rainbows if she has a kid, but for anyone else, your kids can't come or aren't allowed because it will upset me. It's total BS, and your parents are encouraging it. My wife and I had 2 miscarriages. Of course it's bad, but we had to move on. Your sister just doesn't want to. Yes, she needs therapy badly. It's as if her identity has now been wrapped up in her childlessness, as if she uses her family's pity and empathy to gain special attention. This is way, way beyond normal or healthy. Her parents are furthering the problem by continuing to indulge this woe is me situation and have literally made Julie's infertility more a part of their lives than their own living grandchild. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend she should have thought before having kids if she wanted more freedom? My friend Isla, 26 female, and I, 26 female, have known each other since middle school. We applied to the same college and got in. However, Isla got pregnant after a few months and decided to drop out. She's had 3 more accidental pregnancies and is now a stay-at-home mother of 4. I was telling her the other day that I'm going to travel to Europe, and if all goes well, I will be moving there. She got really annoyed with me and told me that it must be nice to have all the freedom and no responsibilities because I don't have kids. Like, hello, I work. I'm doing my PhD. It's not like I'm just sitting on my butt. This is not the first time she took jabs at me for that, but it was the first time she was this rude. I told her that if she wanted to be free and go off whenever and wherever she wanted, she should have used protection and thought before having kids. Our conversation was at my house and her kids weren't there. She got really mad and left, slamming the door on her way out. She hasn't replied to my messages, but she started telling everyone what an awful person I am. Am I the a-hole for snapping at her? Now for the top comments. 4 accidental pregnancies? At some point, that's not an accident. That's choosing to let pregnancies happen. I think you've just grown too far apart. She's jealous, but that's on her. She chose her life, and you chose yours. 4 kids didn't just happen to her without her input. Not today, Hall, and maybe it's best if you let the friendship fizzle out. Once is accidental. Twice is coincidence. Thrice is enemy action. 4 is, I don't know, alcoholism, probably. Not today, Hall. Yes, I think it's time to end that friendship chapter. My best friend from childhood has her PhD and also travels a lot and lives abroad. I chose to marry my husband. With my 2 step-kids, I help raise with primary custody and our toddler. I'm happy for her, not jealous. I chose my path, and while it's not always easy and can be very thankless, I enjoy my husband and kids, most days. She should enjoy travel while she's young instead of older, and she has worked hard for it. I'm sure 4 kids are tough. My 3 can make me feel like I'm losing it on a daily basis. But it was a choice, accidental or not. There was the risk by having intimacy and keeping the babies, as heartless as that sounds. Maybe she didn't know how demanding and draining it could be. Heck, I didn't. But she should celebrate her friend. A friend has different struggles, and she truly has worked herself off to get her PhD, which I doubt I could do. Not stay whole, OP. Everyone has a breaking point, and she was being rude for too long. Not stay whole. I'm sorry, but there is no such thing as 4 accidental pregnancies. Unless she is one of the most fertile people on the planet. 1? Sure. Get on long-term birth control, etc. afterwards and also use rubbers. But 4? I'm sorry, no. Her having 4 kids to be responsible for is not your burden to carry. If she is resentful for her life, that's on her, not you. Good for you for sticking up for yourself. If she's going to be a witch because you don't have children, then maybe it's time to let this friendship fade. Thank you. I'm shocked though you haven't received replies from people telling you they had an IUD, were taking the pill and used a rubber and still got pregnant. Like, no girl, you didn't. I do know someone who's hyper-fertile. She got her tubes tied. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for picking the same name for my baby as my brother-in-law's unborn baby? My 31 female husband, 33 male, and his brother, 36 male aren't super close, but we all get along well. My brother-in-law is pretty nice overall, but he does seem to be a bit jealous of my husband and just everything we have. But my husband told me that it's always been like this, so it's not really a big deal. I'm currently pregnant with a baby girl, our first baby, and we've been discussing possible names. There's one that we're pretty sure of. It's not super out there, but I think pretty unique nowadays, and I really like it. The issue is, this is the name that brother-in-law and his girlfriend had picked out for their baby 3 years ago. If it was a girl because they didn't know yet, but the baby unfortunately died. His girlfriend chose the name for her favorite ballet, and I remember she would say that if she ever had a daughter, she'd name her that. We were at a family event over the weekend, and I mentioned that we had the name in mind. Brother-in-law looked kind of surprised, and said that was the name they'd picked for their daughter. My husband said that we know, but we just thought it was a really nice name. Brother-in-law started saying if we could reconsider and that there are other names, and this one's really special to him. I said that we decided on the name, and he actually didn't even know if his baby was going to be a girl or a boy. He was upset and kept saying that we should reconsider. I got a little mad and told him that he doesn't own the name, and they should be hoping for a healthy baby rather than worry about names. Brother-in-law dropped it after that, but my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, told me and my husband that we don't care and we're intentionally hurting him. You're the a-hole. No, they don't own the name. That doesn't mean they're wrong that you should reconsider when you've clearly known for years that it's special to them. Especially when the mere fact you're having this argument shoots a gaping hole in your pretty unique reason for picking it, and you don't seem to have anything specially meaningful to counter that with. Okay, maybe I should have been clearer in my post. Sometimes when me and brother-in-law's girlfriend would chat, we just randomly go on the topic of wedding planning, baby names, etc. She mentioned that there's this name she likes, and if she ever had a daughter, she'd probably name her that. She had one for a son too. In fact, we didn't even know she was pregnant until after she died. I'm sorry, are you saying your brother's girlfriend died while pregnant? Edit, confirmed by the OP. So not only is she stealing the name of a dead baby, she's stealing it from a dead woman. Well, that obviously makes it okay then. Yikes on a bike. Also, this made me wince. I got a little mad and told him that he doesn't own the name and they should be hoping for a healthy baby rather than worry about names. The most insensitive thing she could have chosen to say, and I don't think for a second she didn't know how this sounds. OP, take your own advice. Given that you know someone whose baby died, which would have been your husband's and so your niece or nephew, put your brain back in your skull and engage it. I thought the same thing. The subtext is so mean, like, make sure this one doesn't die like your last one. Oh yes, there's a heck of a lot of subtext here. Well, the baby died, so I get dibs on the name now since you don't have a living baby and I do. So maybe if you are lucky someday you can be like me and have a baby that lives. Too bad for you. Better luck next time. Very mean girls type of vibe. Maybe this is the kind of person who would steal someone else's boyfriend and then be like, Well, if you were more like me, you'd be able to keep your man. How about you work on you instead of being mad at me, and maybe next time you'll have a chance. Ta-ta. Info. Are you going to accept you're the a-hole, or were you just hoping for validation because you're going to do it anyways? Because you'd be a massive a-hole if you used the name. Edit. Oh dear lord. Turns out the girlfriend died with a baby too. Oh my god, this is so much worse than I originally thought. The word vile doesn't even begin to describe it. Shame on you. I literally need to take a breather because I am so disgusted on your brother-in-law's behalf. Shame on you. Frankly, it's concerning that someone with that level of apathy is going to be a mother. That poor child. To have a mother like this. It's worse than that. The kid has a father like this too. Not just this mother, but a father who is happy to name his kid the name of his brother's deceased baby. My childhood best friend wants me to break up with my boyfriend so she can date him. I, 22 female, know my best friend, 21 female, since we were 4. We were like sisters, always together, doing everything together. Since our parents are friends, we could hang out every weekend. She was pretty and always with the best clothes, and her style is awesome. So when we were in high school, she had all the boys begging to go on a date with her. I used to get very insecure with myself when I was around her, but I don't blame her for anything. It's not her fault she's beautiful. But whenever I gave her a hint I was liking someone, she would say how I had no chance with them, that I should give up, and then after some time, she would date them for some time. I never had any boy wanting something with me. I always had to hear ew when someone mentioned dating me. I met my boyfriend 23 male last year in April. We were really good friends. I never introduced him to my best friend because I didn't want her to take all his attention. I was liking him in the beginning. Then after some time he asked me out and we are dating for 6 months now. 2 weeks ago my friend and I had a sleepover at her house and she caught me texting my boyfriend on my phone. She asked me who he was and I told him he's my boyfriend. She laughed and asked me since when I had a boyfriend. I didn't want to give her too much details about my relationship. So I just told her we've been dating for 6 months now, and I talked about something else so we could end that conversation. Apparently, that night when I went to sleep, she grabbed my phone. She knew my password because when her phone was dying and she wanted to call someone, she would pick it up. And she went to his Instagram where he got her user and texted him. She never told me anything. I just found out when my boyfriend sent me a screenshot and asked who she was. I was shocked by the messages she sent. There were things like, "Hey, are you Opie's boyfriend? You look really nice. Are you sure you date her?" She even commented in a picture he took at a gym, saying how hot he looks when he's sweaty. My boyfriend wasn't happy about that. He thought I gave her his user, but I explained I didn't. And I started crying like the little baby I am. I told him how she always dated every boy I liked, and how insecure I get when she's around. He comforted me and kept telling me that I shouldn't worry about her. He doesn't care about her. I trust him, and after some time, I just decided to ignore what happened. After an hour, she texted me, "Did your boyfriend tell you anything? Did you ask him to block me?" He blocked her, and I didn't even know that. She said that I'm being the jealous girlfriend type. I explained I never asked him to block her, but she didn't believe me. She made 3 fake accounts to text him. I know, because he told me everything. It even showed me all the texts where she was texting him multiple times. He was leaving her on red and blocking her after some time. After the 3rd account she made, she came into my house and complained that he doesn't talk to her. I said she was flirting with him, and she knows I date him. Obviously, I was extremely mad at her, but I was trying to act cool, because I was really tired and didn't want to start an argument. She told me that my boyfriend is exactly her type. She loves how he looks, and she needs him. I couldn't believe what she was saying. I thought it was some kind of joke, but it wasn't. Then she said, "He is perfect for me. He is so handsome, and he has nice muscles. I wonder if he has abs." This is when I lost my temper and told her to stop flirting with him or complimenting these things since he is my boyfriend. She called me mean and an a-hole, yelled at me saying he is her type, and I should break up with him because I'm wasting his time and he could be with someone better, aka her. After some time, she started crying telling me if I were her friend, I would break up with him, saying I'm choosing him over her. He is her type and she wants me to break up with him, but I love him. I can't do something like that. I used to not care when she got the other boys I liked because I didn't have anything to do with them, but now it's my boyfriend. My first boyfriend. The only one who showed some interest on me for who I am. I don't know what to do about her, but I know I won't break up with him. I told him everything she said and he is mad like I am. I'm just tired of her. I don't know what to do. Should I end a 10+ years friendship? Now for the top comments. Do you even like her? Or did you become friends with her because your parents are friends? In the beginning, we were good friends. She was nice before, but she changed a lot since we entered high school. Why are you still friends with her? Exactly this, OP. She is not your friend. She demeans you. She's trying to steal your boyfriend. She calls you names. Why need enemies with friends like her? End a relationship. I promise you, coming from someone who recently ended a friendship with someone who was not a good person or friend, you will feel so much lighter and happier. Trust me. I kept her friendship for so long because when I tried to get away from her, my parents and her parents were putting pressure on me to talk to her again. That's not a friend. She wants to one-up you all the time. Must be exhausting to have to be around her when all she does is nag and bring OP down. It's not even that this friend tries to one-up her all the time. The friend actively insults her, tries to take anything OP wants away from her, and goes behind her back to try to flirt with OP's boyfriend. This friend has some serious issues and is stomping all over OP like she isn't even a person. Screw this friend. Next story. I have just been betrayed by the two people I trusted most and I don't know what to feel anymore. Plus update. Original post. I'm sorry if this is annoying. I can't stop thinking about it. And for some reason, I feel more secure venting it to strangers rather than people who know me and can judge me more in depth. I won't lie, I have been suspecting my fiancé was having an affair, but I didn't have any solid evidence to accuse him. Even then, I had a feeling that I didn't want to dig any deeper because I was scared that what I was suspecting was true. 12 days ago, I came home from visiting my mom's and I headed upstairs to wake my fiancé as he had a habit of sleeping in way past 2 p.m. and then complained that I didn't wake him up. I opened the door, and all I see is my practically naked sister rushing to try and get out of a lingerie bodysuit that belonged to me. I don't know how to explain it, but my mind just went blank. Like whatever I was thinking about beforehand suddenly disappeared. You know, when you stand up too fast and your head just gets a little dizzy? That's what I felt, alongside a feeling of sickness brewing in my stomach. I stood there for a solid 30 seconds, looking at the two people I trusted the most look more shocked than I felt. My fiancé jumped out of bed and suddenly came up with excuses. It went from it was an accident to I was lonely and needed relief. I probably should add that my best friend ended herself 2 weeks ago. The girl I knew for over 15 years was suddenly out of my life. And even though I'm surrounded by people, I've told my fiancé about how alone, devastated, and guilty that I couldn't do anything to help her. I just left. I didn't take my car because at that point my eyes were about to just started flooding. I walked to my friend's house about 10 minutes away and confided in her about what happened. The amount of grief I felt from not only losing a best friend, but losing my relationships with my fiancé and sister within the same 2-week period. Now that I'm sitting down to write this, I don't know if any of these relationships will ever be mended or could ever go back to the way they were. I don't understand why my sister of all people would do this. There was never any favoritism toward any of us for her to feel spite. I have never intentionally tried to hurt her. I gave her shelter when she had no place to go, and despite her not paying a single penny, I bought her food that she liked, made sacrifices in my own home for her. Hell, she kept ranting about how our living room walls gave her headache as they were painted white, so I took time out of my day to paint it a nice gray color. My fiancé too. I gave that man everything. I was willing to have kids with him despite the fact I always wanted to be child-free. I was going to start a family so that he was happy. I gave him comfort whenever something bad happened to him. I spent hours watching funny movies that he seemed to find hilarious. I even gave him a freaking locket with our anniversary photo in that he decided to wear while sticking it in my sister. These last days, I've went from sadness to being angry, then disgusted, and it's a constant cycle I've not been able to get out of. Despite being smoking-free for 2 years, I've picked up a cigarette. I used to be heavily addicted to smoking from 16 to 21. I'm currently 23. There's the moments when I go to do something but automatically lose interest. At even times over dinner, I don't know how to explain it properly as I've never felt this way, but I'm bored of eating. I have to physically force myself to eat something, and I have no idea what's going on to my body at this very moment. For some reason, it feels as if I've went into hibernation. I sleep almost 17 hours a day now, and even for the rest of those hours, I'm still tired and force myself to stay awake. Both of them asked to meet up on Wednesday. My sister's exact message was, "Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now, but can you meet me at Fiancée? We want to talk and we want you to properly hear us out. The situation you found us in was not the most ideal situation to put you in a good headspace to talk about it right there and then. Please let us explain. I love you, and you're my sister and I don't want to lose you. Please." I think it's too late. It was too late from whatever this affair started or even when you started having desires for my fiancé. I miss my sister, but according to what I saw, the sister I miss and whoever my sister is now are not the same person. I haven't talked to anyone yet except the one friend I'm currently staying with at the moment. I'm scared I'll be seen as a failure of a future wife, but now I don't even think I want to be a wife anymore. But I guess I'd rather share to strangers than people who know me personally. I apologize again. Now for the top advice before reading the update. You have nothing to apologize for, and nothing to be ashamed about. None of this was your fault. You've suffered a horrible betrayal by a family member and a partner. Again, none of this was your fault. To hell with your ex-fiancé. To hell with your sister. No amount of apologies or excuses should smooth over a betrayal of this magnitude. Can you move out to a more permanent location? Can your friend help you pick up your things? Have you considered speaking to your family about this? And again, none of this is your fault. And nobody's going to fault you for not being able to be the best right now. Lean on the other people in your life right now if you can. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, but you can pull through this. Honestly, I've not thought about my plan so far. The house we lived in I inherited from my grandma, so as far as I know, I can kick both of them out. Though I'm not well versed in a lot of legal stuff, so I'm currently trying to take a look at my options in case I need a lawyer or anything like that. As for my family, I haven't said a word yet. I've not really spoken to anyone except the friend I'm currently staying at. I plan to tell them eventually about everything though. I'm just trying to better myself mentally before telling anyone else. Just serve them an eviction notice, then send your family a message or mail that explained what happened, with the messages these two trash sent you as proof. And now for the update. Hi, me again. I'm back in editing the post. At first, I was just going to dump this vent to get it out of my mind, but I want to say thank you for everyone's advice. I guess this counts as a small update? I'm not sure. So far, nothing big has really happened. The friend I'm staying with has offered to come with me to talk to my parents about this, also including my older brother. She's honestly been my rock through this whole situation, and I couldn't ask for a better support system from one person, though I don't plan on putting that on her shoulders since it would be stressful to be the designated support system friend. I'm currently looking into therapy for both my grief and the affair. I'm not well versed legally wise, so I'm currently in the process of looking for a lawyer just so legally I know I'm in the clear in case there's a loophole somewhere. I did contact my sister, and another copy-pasted message I replied, I don't plan on meeting with you on Wednesday. I'll talk to you when I'm ready, and whether it be tomorrow or years from now, it doesn't matter. You both owe me my own time to heal. After the two people I've trusted most went behind my back, betrayed my trust, all under my roof that you both lived rent-free. Bye. I can't lie. I was almost ready to tell her to meet me there. And then when she sent that message, I've realized, and through help of people in the comments that I can't thank enough, that I need time to work on myself mentally rather than repair a long-gone relationship with my sister. No, I don't plan on going back to my ex and never will. Maybe one day I'll hear him out, but today is not a day. As for now, I'm getting ready to try and explain to my parents everything that happened. I don't have any evidence between my ex and sister, however, I do have their messages they sent me that incriminates them. But anyways, thank you for all the advice and kind comments and messages. Have a good day or night. Last story. Turns out my husband lied about his affair being over. I found about the affair 3.5 years ago. I was completely shocked and heartbroken. My husband swore it was a mistake. He said he would end the affair, never have contact with her again, and do anything else to prove to me that he was committed to changing. That he was willing to go to therapy and couples counseling and whatever else it took. I took him back because I loved him and because I thought it would be better for our kids. It was hell, but we got through it. He did go to therapy and we did couples counseling. He put monitoring software on his internet and his phone so I could see everything he was doing. He made sure all his time out of the house was accounted for. He also seemed to be more invested in our marriage and spending time together. Just being more attentive and like it was when we first got married. Even though he never neglected our kids, he was more present with them. He told me that the thought of losing me and not seeing our kids every day was a wake-up call to how stupid and reckless he was. And after almost 2 years, I stopped feeling the need to monitor his phone and know where he was every second he wasn't with me. He was still attentive and things were good. It turns out he never stopped the affair like he said. I caught him again. He just had another phone I didn't know about, and he got creative in finding ways to spend time with her. She knew he was married and had 3 kids before their affair started, and that they had to be extra careful after I caught him the first time. I'm just here to spill my guts, really. I'm not staying again. He made a fool out of me once. We have 2 sons, both aged 13, and a daughter, aged 12, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to break the news of the divorce to them, or to anyone else. Thankfully, I have a job that pays enough to look after me and the kids so I can leave him. It won't be complicated in terms of assets, because we each will get half. The only thing up in the air is child support and custody arrangements. His affair won't be a factor for that, but that's the only thing that isn't certain. Anyways, thanks to anyone who read my word vomit. I'm going to therapy, I think, but for now, this helped. I wouldn't hide his affair from kids. Not in a vengeful way, but most of the time, kids blame the betrayed parent for their divorce as they initiate it. So don't put yourself on fire to hide his affair. I don't know how or what I have to tell them yet. I need to talk to a therapist first. I don't know if they will need one after this, but I don't want to do this the wrong way. Talk to your lawyer as well. If you disclose the affair without talking about them, his lawyer can claim you're trying to alienate them. My lawyer was the one who recommended I talk to a therapist before I tell my sons and daughter. I was going to anyways, but my lawyer has affirmed that decision. There was a case here where the fact that he was forgiven once was a factor on the divorce proceedings being a no fault, instead of because of an affair. I'm just hoping you don't live where that will become an issue for you to regain peace. Hopefully, you and your children will regain that peace you all need. I also believe the kids will need their own therapist to process this, and I hope he pays for that. That is the same case for me. I reconciled with him previously, so I can't use his cheating in the divorce now nor use it to get a better settlement. My divorce will be no fault. Talk to an attorney first. Husband might be hiding money as well. And who knows what he will do financially when he finds out it's over. As a cheater, he has most likely envisioned several exit scenarios for it, / when he is caught. I have hired a lawyer already, and my husband knows he is caught, and that I'm not staying again. He tried to convince me to stay though. Update. I discovered that my boyfriend is cheating after buying him an expensive Christmas gift. Original post. I, female 25, discovered that my ex-boyfriend, male 26, had been cheating on me for 5 months. I was really devastated and felt a lot of rage inside me, especially after buying him a new PlayStation 5, since he wanted one but couldn't afford it. I was saving up a lot of money to buy him the console with some games. We've been dating for 3 years and living together for 1.5 years. I immediately kicked him out after his side girl messaged me apologizing, not knowing that he had a girlfriend. I didn't believe her because I trusted my boyfriend a lot, but she came with receipts. There were a lot of messages where he flirted with her and sent spicy photos. I was disgusted, really disgusted. The worst part is when I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it and called me boring. He insulted me a lot, saying I was no fun and deserves better. I was really enraged, and for the first time, I slapped him. He was shocked, so was I, because I was never violent with him and always tried to solve things quietly, but it made my blood boil. I started screaming at him that he doesn't do anything around here and never paid rent, because he's a lazy, jobless piece of trash who can't even bother looking for a decent job. And at one point, mentioned how he will never get the PS5 that I bought, and will return it soon to the store. He looked like a deer in headlights. That bastard, he immediately changed his attitude and acted sorry, started apologizing and crying, saying he never meant to cheat and promised he would make it up to me. He's a disgusting pig. He never cared for my feelings. He only cared when I mentioned something he wanted. Such hypocrisy. I wasted no time and kicked him out. He's still sending me a lot of texts filled with apologies, and even an ugly photo of him crying. I told him to not waste his time because he won't get the PS5. We're done. Then I blocked him. I won't take the PS5, I already have one. But I remember that my parents were planning on buying it for my little brother. The plan was going to be them buying the PS5, and I will buy the games for it with an extra PS Store gift card. But looks like I will give my parents a call and tell them there's a change in our plans for my brother's gift. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Let me guess, when you previously asked him to get a job and contribute to the household, he called you a gold digger. Good for you for not taking his gaslighting and BS any longer. I'm sure you've figured out by now that he was never going to contribute and intended to use you for a free ride while he had his fun. You are so well rid of him. Best Christmas gift you could give yourself. He actually called me controlling. We fought a lot about it, but this was my first time showing a serious reaction to it. Ah yes, because the classic controlling partner's move is to get them out of the house, financially independent, and meeting new people. It's definitely not controlling to move into your partner's house and demand they support you though. Of course not. Good on you for not falling for his BS. Had you kept him and given him the PS5, he would likely continue to love bomb as a thank you for the game system. However, once he feels you are comfortable again, he'd have just gone back to his old cheating ways and not do a thing to help you and then gaslight you, blaming you for being boring and whatever else he can come up with to make you feel bad. Thankfully, everything happened before it was too late. Your little brother is gonna be so excited though. Yup. Make some photos of your brother while he enjoys playing the PS5 and rub it under that piece of crap's nose. Make him cry a bit more. I'm happy for you that you got rid of that loser. You deserve much better, and for the next one, stand up for yourself. I would, but sadly my parents won't agree to reveal my brother to the internet. They have a point, because what people can do with technology and AI these days is scary. Now for the update. Hello everyone, I'm back with an update. First, I wanted to thank all of the people who commented and shared some of their experiences with me. I really appreciate it. Today was amazing. I celebrated Christmas with my family, my parents, and a little brother. My parents cooked the best food, so I ate well after not having an appetite for a few days. It was wonderful. As for my parents' agreement about the gift, we agreed on something. I'll gift the PS5 and games to my brother. My parents bought an Oculus for my brother's new PS5 and other accessories for the console. When the time came for the presents, I was shocked to learn that my brother got me an expensive gift. He got me some makeup from Sephora and a gift card. My parents then informed me that my brother was saving for my gift since the beginning of the year. I cried. I literally started bawling my eyes out and I gave him a big hug. My baby. I thanked him a lot for the gift and said that I loved it. When he opened my parents' present, he was really confused and stated that he doesn't have a PS5 for this Oculus. I told him to open my gift, and when he opened it, he started crying and immediately hugged me. I don't know what came over me, and I started crying with him. I really love my brother. He's a sweet little boy and a good-behaved kid. He's 12, by the way. That's why he deserved every gift he got. It was expensive, yes, but it was worth every penny to see him happy. After we all opened our gifts, I helped him set up the PS5 in his room and played some games together. Suddenly, he tells me that he loves me and I'm the best big sister in the world. For the third time, I started crying, probably because I'm on my period and my hormones are not making it any better. So yeah, there you have it. I had the best Christmas with my family, and seeing my brother so happy was worth the heartbreak I went through. As for my garbage ex, he's still making new accounts on Instagram to apologize. I told him to buzz off, and I know that he's only apologizing because he wants the PS5, not because he's feeling guilty. I mentioned that I gave it to someone who deserves it way more than he does, and he started cursing at me, and I said if he didn't leave me alone, I'll report him to the police for harassment. He stopped after that, and I never heard from him ever since. So that's all for the update. Happy holidays, everyone. This is the most wholesome post I have read in a while. I'm glad that you decided to make your brother happy by gifting him PS5. You sound like a lovely person and I wish you all the happiness. Merry Christmas! I read the first one and was so happy she told him she got him the PS5 but he wouldn't get it. As someone with an ex like hers, it made my Christmas, lol. Her little brother getting it and being so grateful made a post even more sweet. I love that her little bro got it. What a sweet kid and a sweet moment. My sister and I aren't far apart in age, but one time I made her cry on my birthday because I got her a gift. She never does anything for herself. She's so selfless and generous. Everything she does is for someone else, and it was something I knew she'd wanted for a long time. She opened it, went, "Why are you giving me a present on your birthday?" And I said I just wanted her to have it. She's not a sappy person, but she cried. Haha. It's the best feeling surprising someone who's actually grateful and deserves it. I love how they played games together. So glad OP had her family to celebrate with and support her after leaving that loser. Gave it to a little man in your life that matters. Someone who is definitely gonna be there for you. You must have been so happy watching him open this. Yep, I was really happy. Love to see this update. All day Reddit has been filled with sad posts of people's families screwing them over today in Christmas. It's nice to see a happy update like this. I have been reading some of it, which literally shocked me. But when I think about it, I would have been one of them if I didn't find out about my ex's cheating. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my female 25 boyfriend, male 30, he isn't welcome to live with me? For context, we have been together approaching 4 years, but have always lived separate. I live in my home with my daughter, and he lives with his parents. He stays with me the majority of the time, and has done for years with no financial contribution. Around 18 months ago, I bought a new larger property solo, which was very much a doer-upper, and I've invested a lot of time and money in. It is now around 75% complete, with progression weekly. In the time, my boyfriend has constantly made negative comments regarding my home, and in a previous argument, he had told me he didn't know why I was proud of the work I have done to my home, because it isn't finished and you wouldn't celebrate before you won the race. Also, that it is the worst looking property in the street, and that I should be embarrassed at it, and at the pace I'm completing the work. He also often makes comments about how he doesn't like certain things in my home, and that if he had his own home, he would have different. Yesterday, he brought moving in together full-time up in conversation. I mentioned what he had previously said around my home, and he thought I was over those comments. Personally, I think it's best he gets his own home. Maybe when he pays for everything single-handed alongside working full-time, he may have more appreciation and respect for my home. And the fact I have to save for works, as they are expensive. So am I the a-hole for not wanting him to move in? Now for the top comments before the mini update. Not the a-hole. I also would dump him. You've been together for 4 years. He's in his 30s. No ring, unless you don't want one. He lives with his parents and then has the audacity to say if I owned a home I'd do it this way? Well, sir, you don't own a home, and you live with your parents. He has the audacity to talk to you like that in your own home that your daughter also lives in. You don't want your daughter thinking that a man talking like that to an independent mother is okay. You're at a point where you need to ask yourself where you want this relationship to go. Because he sounds like a lazy POS. OP should try to read her own post as if it's that of a stranger, and then ask herself whether it sounds like the author is someone who is in a great relationship. Spoiler alert, it does not. I mean, just being here is the OP recognizing things aren't great. Telling them it's not great is just beating a dead horse. Maybe we should focus on telling her that she deserves better. She clearly works hard. She's pretty stable financially. What does she want with a 30-year-old that failed to fly the nest? Looking for a surrogate mommy that put out? Not the a-hole. I wouldn't want that negativity at all. You are 25, own your own home, and are successful raising a child. Why surround yourself with someone who tears you down to feel better about his sorry butt? That's technically living at home with parents, but is, in reality, living off your good graces. If you'd like, post before and after pictures of what you've done so we can cheer you on. Please think about the message you're sending to your daughter regarding how she should allow herself to be treated and talked to. How my daughter views my relationships is constantly in the back of my mind. I never want to see her, and hope she never does, settle for less. Thankfully, none of these comments have been said in front of her. Normally when she's at school, her dad's or asleep. Regarding the works done, I've been trying to think of the top of my head. I've had a full electrical rewire, new heating system, new bathroom, new kitchen, new porch extension, new floorboards, new flooring, full replaster, fully redecorated. A lot of disruptive work to say the least. He's so jealous of you. Do not let him live with you. Edit/mini update. I'd like to thank each and every one of you who took your time to comment and wish you all a happy new year. I really didn't expect my post to receive so much traction. I've tried to read through nearly every comment, and a lot of you references to jealousy. Being a hater and reaping the rewards of my hard work ring true, unfortunately. It is insane to get more support from strangers and for people I don't know to be happy for me. I've had a lot of questions around what is the goal if it's not to live together. The goal for me was always to live together, but I cannot allow someone with zero respect or appreciation to be here. It is my daughter's space too, and all of the work, sleepless nights, and stress that I've gone into this property is all for her. I have also been moved out of my parents for 5 years into my own space, so giving that up is a massive deal. He doesn't have any children, so not sure he gets it. For everyone stating they would love their own home, they would love to do all the work. It is possible, and I believe in every single one of you. As for my boyfriend, he has not reached out since I mentioned he needs to do it alone to appreciate the work. Not even to wish me a happy new year, but who needs him? I've got this. Last story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend after he gave me a crappy Christmas present? I, female 28, broke up with my boyfriend, male 38, on Christmas Day after we exchanged gifts. I have a lot going on. I'm moving houses, and I'm dealing with a new job position that has me feeling that I have a lot to catch up to from the past director. I set my alarm very early in the morning last week and took the time to buy him and his daughter, female 16, presents that they could enjoy. To be fair, there was an income gap between us, but even a pair of affordable earrings could have made me feel happy. Because the house is a mess, I even closed off the living room with curtains so that the stack of boxes and things wouldn't make the Christmas decorations look ugly. I made sure the tree looked nice, I bought the food that he likes, and I made myself pretty for him. He arrived, and the first thing he did was to make fun of my makeup. He also made fun of my Santa hat. He laughed, like I'm some ridiculous cartoon. We ate and talked, and I gave him my presents, AirPods, which I loved to the point of posting on Instagram. His daughter got her present, Hot Topic stuff, and I was very glad that she loved it. He took her back to her mom's house and didn't get back in an hour like I said. That's their Christmas arrangement. We were supposed to spend time together, but he came back about 3 hours later because his mother had visitors and he wanted to catch up. He sat watching TV and gave me zero affection. He gave me his present, which, to be honest, I would have preferred not to get anything. I'm not a drinker, but he got me a small wine bottle that I've seen marked at $3 to $5 at a 7-Eleven. I know it wasn't at my best because he said my face changed. He has a job. He could have gotten something actually thinking of me. I felt horrible when he said he would have given me an IOU and that the rest of my present was in his pants. I ignorantly thought it was some game. Maybe he hid a small gift inside his pants? Nope. I was supposed to take his boy parts as a gift. I was furious. It was cheap, and while I'm very sexual, it wasn't sexy. It felt vulgar. I asked him to leave and thanked him for giving me the worst Christmas and took back my present. I cried when he left, and when he texted me if I was okay, I broke up with him and blocked him. His siblings have been trying to reach me, but I've blocked them all. One of them accused me of being materialistic and shallow, and also said that not everyone has a fancy job and that I'm unfair for expecting a certain level of gifting. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm sorry, but he doesn't even like you. He just likes what you do for him. 100%. One day you'll meet someone who never makes you second-guess yourself and your efforts, and you'll wonder why you ever spent time in such a loser. Not the a-hole. I don't even think this is about the gift. It's about his lack of respect for you. He insulted how you looked. He doesn't respect your time. He doesn't care enough to be thoughtful for you. He was vulgar and immature towards you. When people say it's the thought that counts, this is what it means. He put no thought, effort, or consideration into Opie. He got some crap on the way between his exes and OPs. Exactly. I'd take a $10 plant over fancy jewelry any day because anyone that knows me can see I love plants and rarely wear jewelry. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you definitely did the right thing. Just don't let this schlub talk you into taking him back. I tell his mother what his Christmas present was and ask her if she raised him to be this disgusting and disrespectful. That a $3 gift would have been absolutely fine if they'd put any thought into it whatsoever. And that it's bad manners to make someone wait for you on Christmas Day for 3 hours because they can't be bothered to send a text. Throw the whole man away. His mama ain't finished raising him yet. My boyfriend got me a $3 gift. They were Squishmallow earrings in clearance and I love them. It's not about the money. I mean, geez, there's good stuff at gas stations too, if that's the only option. Candy, headphones, cute lighters, Pringles, goldfish, crackers, maybe DVDs and magazines, cup noodles and ice cream. He could have loaded her up with all the stuff needed for a fun junk food-filled retreat. Or maybe picked up an extra phone charger that she needed. Wine is fine if you like wine.